So Jon Favreau is taking over Star Wars. Jon Favreau probably already took over Star Wars. Jon Favreau was probably already calling the shots at Lucasfilm right now. And in this video, I'm going to bring you all the information needed for you to make the same realization that I've made, that Jon Favreau is already running Lucasfilm, that Jon Favreau is already running Star Wars. And I think that Jon Favreau is going to end up saving Star Wars. He's going to end up giving us the Star Wars that we've always wanted, and that we just don't want an agenda being pushed in Star Wars. We just want good storytelling. We want everyone in Star Wars, we want everyone in Lucasfilm to just be focused on storytelling, to stop trying to push this narrative, to stop trying to push this agenda that they're pushing in every single piece of content that they put out. It's not run by Jon Favreau or Dave Filoni. Let's get into the video. Let's get into all this evidence that I have to bring to you today. So the first piece of evidence that I have is a Star Wars tweet from a few days ago on April 29th that made the sequel trilogy fans extremely angry, because as you can see by the tweet, the caption says, "Celebrate May the 4th with a bounty of deals on Star Wars video games." And in this picture, we see a lot of different Star Wars characters. We see a lot of different episodes and trilogies, animated show characters all over this picture. But what is something that we do not see in this picture? That would be the sequel trilogy. It's completely absent from the picture, and I wonder why that is. I wonder why Kathleen Kennedy would greenlight this. Why would Kathleen Kennedy okay the fact that they're not putting sequel trilogy characters in an advertisement to sell video games or to sell merchandise or whatever they're trying to sell with this? I believe it's video games. Why would they not advertise the sequel trilogy characters? Why would they not bring more attention to the movies that they put out, to the stuff that they've created? Why are they leaning on these old characters, on these nostalgic characters that are in this artwork? Well, the reason is because Kathleen Kennedy is no longer running Star Wars. There is no way that Kathleen Kennedy would make the decision for this to be the advertisement on May the 4th. You know that Kathleen Kennedy wants to push her creations. She wants to push the High Republic. She wants to push the sequel trilogy. She wants to push this feminist agenda that she's always had. And it's even a little bit in this picture. As you can see, Data Racer responds to this tweet and says, "Why is Luke Skywalker wearing lipstick, eyeliner, and mascara? This looks extremely feminized." And I don't really want to go too deep into this discussion, but I do believe that Hollywood is trying to remove all masculine energy from all of their projects, from all of their media. For whatever reason, they want everything to be extremely feminized, and for whatever reason, they're trying to make these feminine characters masculine. I don't understand what they're doing. You can look at Natalie Portman in the new Thor movie. Those leaks are absolutely ridiculous. We have a jacked Natalie Portman. We have someone who's supposed to be attractive in these movies. Let's be real. Her main draw to watch her, the main draw to watch people like Margot Robbie and Natalie Portman, is their attractiveness. Yes, they're good actresses. Yes, they're good at their job, but the main draw to them, the main reason why you watch them is because of their attractiveness. When you take away their feminine energy, when you take away their femininity, you make them jacked, you make them masculine, you take away their main draw, you take away their attractiveness, and it doesn't make much sense to me. So as you probably could have guessed, this tweet got a whole lot of hate from sequel trilogy fans complaining about why the sequel trilogy characters are absent. These same sequel trilogy fans that complained at us and called us istaphobes for complaining about the original trilogy characters not being prominent enough in the sequel trilogy. These fans are complaining about their favorite characters, their sequel trilogy characters, not being prominent enough in this movie poster or in this advertisement. Let's check out some of the replies to this tweet. So Commander Cody says, "It's funny how sequel fans are losing their minds. Legends fans had their entire universe wiped away and were told to deal with it. And all you are mad about sequel characters not being included in one single photo." Exactly true, Commander Cody. We are going to talk a little bit about the Legends content later on in the video that is returning to Star Wars. A lot of stuff is being recanonized that a lot of people aren't even seeing. We're going to talk about that, and I believe that's another reason why Jon Favreau has already taken over Lucasfilm, because Kathleen Kennedy has always been about wiping away the Legends content, wiping away everything that happened under George Lucas, everything that George Lucas had a hand in creating, or anything that happened under George Lucas's reign. Kathleen Kennedy has always wanted to wipe it away, and all of a sudden she's had a change of heart. I don't think so. I think Kathleen Kennedy is gone. I think Jon Favreau has already taken over. We're going to get into that later on in the video. This person also says, "Where's the sequels?" Everyone is asking that same question. That's a sequel trilogy fan. The way y'all just don't show the sequels is kind of annoying, to be honest. Once again, another sequel trilogy fan complaining. Then this person with a blue butterfly in their name, that means that they are a Raylo, says, "I guess I'm saving my money this year. I used to be a big spender on May the 4th. I'm sure you were, buddy. But without new sequel content, I have no desire to cater to this nostalgia jerk fest." This guy replies and says, "Nostalgia jerk fest kind of sums up the Disney trilogy," and it 100% does. Even I admit that there's some good moments in the sequel trilogy, but pretty much every single good moment that I can name was a nostalgia moment, was a moment that wasn't created by the sequel trilogy. It was created by George Lucas. George Lucas gave them the opportunity to make that moment. Every good moment that I can think of was a callback to either the prequel trilogy or the original trilogy. I can never think of a great moment in that trilogy that was 100% created by the sequel trilogy themselves. That effing fangirl says, "Excluding the sequels, that's a no from me, chief." This person has a blue butterfly in their name and also Black Lives Matter. I'm not saying anything against the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm just saying what she has in her name. Let's check out her profile. All she's missing is some pronouns. Part-time writer/editor, full-time villain effer. Ella Rin and Levi Ackerman can get it. She/her 21 plus. Okay, there it is. The complete package. The perfect Raylo right here in one profile, ladies and gentlemen. This is the type of person that will complain if the sequel trilogy characters are not in every single little piece of advertising for Star Wars. This is the type of person that we've been battling against. This is the type of person that will call me an istaphobe for saying exactly what I'm saying right now. For literally just reading what's on this person's profile. I've never said anything bad about anything on this profile yet. I just read what's on the profile. It's a complete Raylo package. But if this person were to see this video, she 100% would call me every istaphobe that she can think of for absolutely no reason, for literally just reading her profile. But let's get back to the main topic of this video. Why is this movie poster poster even important to Jon Favreau taking over Star Wars? I don't understand why you just went through all those replies when the video is supposed to be about Jon Favreau taking over Star Wars. Well, like I said, Kathleen Kennedy has spent her entire career, her entire time at Lucasfilm trying to erase everything that happened under George Lucas, trying to erase these characters that are on the screen now, trying to erase this guy right here, Luke Skywalker, erase Darth Vader, erase Palpatine, ruin everyone's legacy in this picture. There is a big absence of Anakin Skywalker in this picture, which for some reason they do hate the prequel trilogy quite a lot. They don't really have that many prequel trilogy characters in this picture other than Darth Maul, but it is progress. There's no sequel trilogy characters in it. There's a lot of legacy characters in this picture, a lot of stuff that wasn't created under Disney Star Wars, which once again is something that Kathleen Kennedy would never do. She hates everything that was created before the Disney purchase, and that goes for Pablo Hidalgo and everyone else on the Kathleen Kennedy side of the Civil War. Now, who could be someone that would greenlight something like this? I believe it's Jon Favreau. I believe that he's the next president of Lucasfilm. I believe it's a given that he will take over Lucasfilm in the future, or at least take over the Star Wars division of Lucasfilm, and I think this picture is another piece of proof. It's not the only piece of proof. We have a lot of evidence to go through in this video, but this is the most recent piece of proof. It's the most recent piece of evidence that we have that Jon Favreau is taking over Star Wars. And continuing the trend of old content being brought back that Kathleen Kennedy would never do because she hates everything that was created under George Lucas, Star Wars Republic Commando gets a Switch PlayStation 4 port, and HD port for Republic Commando is coming. Nintendo Switch is getting another Star Wars game. This time it's Star Wars Republic Commando from LucasArts. Publisher Aspire Media is porting the squad-based shooter just like it did with Star Wars Jedi Knight games. So yet another piece of evidence that Jon Favreau is taking over. Once again, this in a vacuum doesn't seem like much. The Republic Commando HD port doesn't seem like much. You're probably thinking to yourself that I'm insane because an HD port of Republic Commando doesn't mean that Jon Favreau is taking over Star Wars. But when you put all this information together, when you put all these events that happened recently together, it all adds up to one thing, and that's that Kathleen Kennedy cannot be in charge anymore. There's no way that Kathleen Kennedy is calling these shots. Unless Kathleen Kennedy had a major change of heart overnight, which I don't really think is possible, but honestly, I don't really care either way. If Kathleen Kennedy stays there for the rest of her life, but she continues to give us good content like The Mandalorian, and for some reason Kathleen Kennedy did have a major change of heart overnight and she's bringing back all this old content, recanonizing the Legends content, recanonizing KOTOR like we're going to talk about later on in the video, then I don't really care who's in charge. I don't really care if Jon Favreau's in charge. I just want good Star Wars content. But here we have yet another piece of evidence. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake developed by Aspire. The unannounced Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake will be developed by renowned port studio Aspire. Bloomberg reporter Jason Schreier revealed the detail while on a guest of the Min-Max podcast. It follows earlier whispers of a KOTOR remake which have swirled for some time, and which also suggested the project wasn't being handled internally by EA, our original studio BioWare. So the HD port for Republic Commando is one thing, but to remake an entire game, an old game that was made under George Lucas's reign, to remake that game and sell it again as a new game is a whole nother animal. That's a whole nother piece of news and more proof that Jon Favreau is taking over Star Wars, more proof that Kathleen Kennedy is no longer in charge of Star Wars. Let's move on to yet another piece of evidence that we have. Classic Star Wars books are getting re-released for Lucasfilm's 50th anniversary. Do you really think that Kathleen Kennedy would be doing this? Maybe in a vacuum. Maybe if this was the only thing that was happening right now, maybe Kathleen Kennedy would greenlight something like this every once in a while. But once again, when you add all this stuff up, when you add in the Knights of the Old Republic remake coming from Aspire, you add in the HD Republic Commando port, and you add in this advertisement for May the 4th, all this means that Jon Favreau is taking over Star Wars. All this means that at least Kathleen Kennedy isn't in charge of Star Wars anymore. Because once again, Kathleen Kennedy would never greenlight this stuff. Maybe in a vacuum she would. Maybe she would greenlight one of these things every once in a while. But for all of this to happen at the same time, that the Star Wars social media was silent for a long time, and they still haven't posted anything High Republic related on Twitter. They're only posting Bad Batch stuff. They're only posting the advertisement with the original trilogy characters just like this one. They're not posting anything about the sequel trilogy. They're not posting anything about the High Republic on Twitter. Plus all of these recent events that I'm talking about in this video, I mean, Jon Favreau has to be taking over. Someone has to be taking over Lucasfilm that's not Kathleen Kennedy. And then last but not least, I talked about this in my video yesterday, but Gina Carano is returning to Star Wars as well. This tweet is from someone who runs GinaCarano.net, and the tweet says, "My friend Jacob Lesko is at Disney World and sent me this picture. They're selling Cara Dune toys on the shelf. This is great to see." So this picture is from Disney World itself. It's from Disney Springs in Disney World in Orlando, Florida. They're selling Gina Carano, they're selling Cara Dune merchandise among the other Star Wars merchandise in Disney Springs. Once again, when you put all this stuff together, you have to realize, you have to be able to use your brain enough to realize that Kathleen Kennedy is not calling these shots. If it was Kathleen Kennedy in charge of these decisions, she would be pushing the High Republic. She would be pushing the sequel trilogy. She wouldn't be bringing Gina Carano back. She wouldn't be putting Cara Dune toys in Disney World again. She wouldn't be bringing back Legends content. She wouldn't be recanonizing KOTOR. She wouldn't be doing any of that stuff, but someone who would be doing that stuff is Jon Favreau, or at least someone like Jon Favreau that actually understands Star Wars and understands what the fans want out of Star Wars. So let me know what you guys think about this entire situation, about Kathleen Kennedy leaving Star Wars and Jon Favreau possibly taking over Star Wars. I believe if you add up all this stuff together, it proves that Jon Favreau has already taken over Star Wars and has been running Star Wars for quite a while now. Or like I said, at least someone that's not Kathleen Kennedy, because Kathleen Kennedy would never call these shots. She would never make these decisions. Maybe she would make one of these decisions every once in a while, but to make all of them at the same time that the Star Wars social media accounts were silent, and they still haven't posted anything High Republic on Twitter, they still haven't posted anything sequel trilogy on Twitter, something is going on at Lucasfilm. There's either a major power shift going on, or there's at least a major philosophy shift going on. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you want to support the channel, check out all the new merch that I just dropped. The link to that will be in the description. If you did enjoy the video, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. If you want to follow me on Twitter or join the Discord, both of those links will be in the description. Thank you for watching the video and hope to see you in the next one.